Hello and welcome to this week's Force.comcast video where we're going to look at the final step of our Stateful Wizard controller. So last week we made a final few tweaks to our Stateful Wizard controller. There's just one more that we've made this week, which is we've added a delete onto the finish button here, so that when we have the finish method called, it deletes the session and we have the page reference being returned from the finish method of the account contact controller, which is the controller we're using for our wizard. So in the previous week we didn't have this finish method here. We've added this in now because it just makes the workflow a little bit easier, and it means we can now delete the session as well. So we've basically abstracted away all three of our buttons onto this Stateful Wizard controller, and they're going to call the relevant methods on our actual controller that is working in the background, the one that we're serializing. So nothing else has changed, we're just serializing as we were before. Now what we have is our account contact controller, and on there we've set our values. So we're going to have first page create an account, second page create a contact, and the third page show us an overview, and then when we hit finish it's going to save them both at the same time. So you can see here we've got our variables as before, we've just defined the values correctly, and what we're doing is we're using an external ID reference field that I've just added here on the account to make it really easy for us to ensure that the account and contact are matching. I've used just the datetime.now time string. This is the number of milliseconds string that you can get, the very long one, and this is more than likely to be unique for our particular user at this time, so we can work with it like that. Then got the next page and the previous page, the get page number method, the isLast page method, everything else is the same there. And the only difference we've made to the finish method here is that we add a new list of S objects that we're going to work with, which are the items to insert. That is going to contain our account and our contact. We're then going to insert our items, retrieve the account, and then just redirect ourselves back to that account page. So that's it. The page has been updated just to contain some input fields and output fields. Nothing very complicated there, stuff that you will have seen before. And doesn't really warrant going through, as I'm sure you know how to make Apex input fields and Apex output fields. What's more interesting though is if we go here, this is our account contact wizard page, so you can just check that we have no existing sessions. You can see I've been doing some tests in the side. So we're going to create the account, which is going to be salesforce.com. Their account number is going to be, I don't know, SAS. They're going to have a phone number of 123456789. Oops, double duplicated something there, but there you go. And this is the account for salesforce.com. Okay, so we're going to create that, and we're also going to add Mr. Mark Benioff as a contact. I happen to know Mark's phone number. Obviously if you call that you'll get straight through to him, but I do think his email address is ceo@salesforce.com from what I remember being shared at a Dreamforce. So that's that, and we can hit next and we'll get an overview page. So let's go back to the previous page now, and let's just click away somewhere. Let's go into the home page where we're looking at. So we can see that a session has been created, and if we refresh our sessions list, our session number 26 is in there, and we have a look at this so we can see all the values. It's just saving everything for us, so all of the attributes we've got, the different pieces that we need to work with, they're all being saved away as part of this Apex class. So it's the Apex class, which is the account contact controller. So it's this class here that's being serialized away, and you can see we've got page number, last page, account and contacts. Got page number, last page, con, and ac is there. So it's just that information. So if I now navigate back here onto the wizard, as before it reinstantiates it for me and repopulates it, and everything's saved. And I can even go away on this last part, come back, and it'll have updated it so that it takes me to the correct page again still. And when I press finish, it's going to bring me to the salesforce.com account, and I can see that Mark Benioff has been added as a contact. So it's a really simple and effective way for us to do a wizard. It's kind of the culmination of all of our efforts. So we've seen previously how we can use JSON to serialize things. We've seen how we can create the stateful wizard. So there's an example that also shows where you might want to use it. So if you've got multiple records being created, obviously there's no data dependencies in this where we're retrieving certain pieces of information based upon other data. But we are doing a job at the end where we're just inserting using one DML statement rather than doing multiple DML statements. So that's very useful for us. So before we go, the eagle-eyed, first thing we should note as well is we go back to all of our session states that we've deleted the state at the end. So if I now go on to the wizard, a brand new wizard is instantiated for me. So that's been cleared up as well. What I was going to say was that the eagle-eyed among the viewers of this may well have noticed that in the previous week's video we had an opportunity wizard controller rather than a contact one. So rather than an account contact one. So why have I changed it? So as I was going through, it dawned on me that I'd forgotten that the things you can serialize using the JSON.serialize method are primitives, variables, and instances of your Apex classes. Standard Apex classes, such as system.select option, aren't serializable. So I was going to do an opportunity where we had an opportunity in some line items, but obviously we then need to retrieve the price book entries. I needed to find a nice way of allowing us to add a line item that was quick and easy to use, so that was going to be a select list. And I couldn't get it to work, obviously, because I can't serialize a select list. So then I was going to work in trying to get it to allow it to do so with just a standard HTML select. But what I then noticed was that really I was doing a lot more work on the page than I wanted to. And the JavaScript that ended up having to be put on the page meant that I would have spent more time in this video explaining that than actually showing you the stateful controller working. So that's why it's been removed. What I'll do is in a future video I will show and talk about some of the limitations of things that can be serialized and deserialized to JSON, some of the things that can't. I'll show that and share that in a future video.